Hi, this is Jeff Mehta. Today we are going to go over, I feel, one of the most important topics in live poker, pre-flop fundamentals. Some of the questions I constantly get about pre-flop or main questions you may have and my students have are, what do I play pre-flop? What do I play from early position? What do I play from middle position? What do I play from late position? How do I know whether to raise, call, or fold? When should I mix up my game? This live poker hand chart I'm going to give you is your main foundation for your poker game. Following this hand chart will be the single most determinant factor for your live poker success. So if you're going on a downswing or not confident in your game, going back to this chart and following it will help you stay solid and stay focused. If you decide not to follow it, then you're going to lose. Playing hands that are not profitable lose you money. Discipline yourself to use this chart and you're going to make money. What we're going to go over now is hands that we can play profitably from each position. So let's start from early position. This is going to be the first 3 spots at the table. So if we're playing in a 9 or 10 handed game, it's going to be under the gun +1, and under the gun +2. We're going to be wanting to raise a very tight range for the most part, and I would raise pocket tens plus, ace queen, ace king, and sometimes we can open up a little bit with pocket eights or nines or king queen, king jack. Just look at my earlier video, reasons for ranging, and you can see what I'm talking about. Hands that I think we should limp in with are, it's going to be fairly tight as well. We want to just basically limp in like most pocket pairs through medium pocket pairs, deuces through eights. We want to be able to see cheap flops or basically limp in, and then we're going to be able to call a raise for the most part as long as stack sizes warrant that and the table conditions. And also from up front, we want to have a fairly tight calling range. Mostly if somebody opens from early position and we're right next to them, we're going to want to just call deuces through queens, and sometimes ace king. And most of the hands we want to 3-bet are aces and kings and sometimes queens. Usually from early position, this is going to be fairly tight. So that's why we can still flat with queens, because most people's ranges under the gun are going to be tight unless you're playing against a very loose aggressive guy. Then maybe we can open up our 3-bet range. But for the most part, if you stick to this early position range of hands that we can play, hands that we can call and limp in with, and 3-bet with, you're going to be in pretty good shape. The next position I want to go over is middle position. That's going to be the next 3 spots after early position, or 2 spots. Here we can open up our range a little bit, keep the same as we did from early position, but now we can raise more hands like ace jack, king jack, queen jack, sevens plus. I still think we should be limping in with small pocket pairs like deuces through sixes. I wouldn't be open limping too much with Broadway cards or anything. I would come in for a raise in this spot. And then most of the time, like the same goes for our calling range as it was from early position. We want to still be able to call a fairly tight range, deuces through queens, sometimes ace king. Once in a while ace queen, depending on the range of the player that he's opening. And still we want to have a pretty tight 3-bet range, aces and kings. The last position I want to go over is late position. We want to be able to raise a much wider range from this spot when it's folded around to us. In the late position, I would say is usually the cutoff and the button, sometimes the hijack. But we want to raise a fairly wide range from these positions. I would be raising all pocket pairs, deuces plus, all broadways, jack 9 suited, ace deuce suited plus, ace 9 off plus. Sometimes we can raise some smaller suited connectors or any 2 suited cards depending on the player. For our calling range, it's still going to be tight, just like it is from early position to middle position. We still want to just call deuces through queens, sometimes ace king and ace queen. And then for our 3-bet range from later position, when there's an open, we still want to 3-bet like aces and kings, sometimes 10s plus, ace king, ace queen if there's a couple more callers, depending on the raiser. For the most part, we still want to have a fairly tight 3-bet range, and it is live poker, and it's fine to just 3-bet the nuts. The next thing I want to go over is playing out of the blinds. So from the blinds, again, I'm going to tell you this to just play a very solid, tight range from the blinds. If it's limped around, then the only hands we should be raising are jacks plus and ace queen. Sometimes we can check back like ace queen or ace king if there are too many limpers and we don't feel comfortable building a huge pot out of position. Because once we build a huge pot out of position, we're going to make a lot more mistakes post flop. For raises, if it's raised and we're in the blinds, we still want to call a really, really tight range like we do in all the other positions, deuces through queens and ace king. And obviously depending on the opponent, we're going to be 3-betting or squeezing 10s plus, ace king, ace queen. It's going to be very situational, but if you keep a solid foundation with calling ranges, you're gonna be able to play post flop very well and be comfortable playing with these hands. Now that you have the hand chart and explanation I gave you in this video, I want to go over a summary of the importance of pre-flop, why you want to use it, and why it's so important. We want to have a solid foundation. We want to have a select range of hands we can play profitably from each position. If we can mindfully remember what hands to play, it's going to make us money and not burn money. Knowing that, we can start plugging our pre-flop leaks. Most of my friends and students will come back to me or call me up out of the blue and tell me they are going on a downswing or having trouble with their game. I always tell them to go back to fundamentals, playing solid, telling them what I'm telling you now and about this hand chart, and that helps them rebuild themselves as poker players and gain confidence back in their game. And I hope this video will do the same.